Welcome to NTD News. I'm Kevin Hogan. Here are today's top stories. A Border Patrol official says most family units are now being allowed into the United States. And in San Diego, one school district is teaching migrant children in person before their own students. The majority of family units crossing the border are now being released into the United States. That's according to a senior Border Patrol official who spoke with the Epoch Times on condition of anonymity.
The Biden administration has moved away from sending families back across the border, using the health emergency measure called Title 42. A Texas Democrat lawmaker told CBS News Sunday that families with children under 13 years old are being allowed in.
The family units are being released into the United States. That's where the burden of the border communities are felt. The cities, the counties, the NGOs, we're feeling the brunt of what's happening with the family units.
Every night, the recently opened shelter at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church in Mission, Texas, fills up with up to 200 migrants. This mother came from Guatemala with her husband and 3-year-old daughter.
The truth is, thank God, President Biden gave the opportunity for minors to be allowed in. It's joyous that our girl was so young, so we could come and be here.
The shelter feeds the migrants and offers them essential items and a bed for the night or longer.
You know, if you see a person who has no place to stay and nothing to eat, and they ask you if you could help them, you help them. And it's an honor to do it. It's an honor to share this part of the journey with them.
A Border Patrol official said 86% of family units apprehended last Thursday were released into the United States. HHS is taking in unaccompanied minors, and most single adults are still being expelled. Meanwhile, San Diego public school teachers are giving migrant children in-person instruction before their own students. That's according to a Fox News report. One mother in the district told Fox, "We agree that every child deserves an in-person education, but why are tax-paying students put last?" A spokeswoman confirmed to Fox the district told teachers they could volunteer to teach migrant children this week during spring break. She said she doesn't know if they're getting paid to do it, and that's up to the county. The district expects to move to in-person instruction in about a couple of weeks.
Dozens of unaccompanied minors who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally have tested positive for the CCP virus. They are now at a San Diego shelter. The Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson Bonnie Preston told NBC7 that at least 69 minors tested positive and were all asymptomatic. Preston says there are now 723 girls sheltering at the San Diego Convention Center. Around 250 more are expected to arrive every other day until capacity is reached. The San Diego County Supervisor confirmed to News 8 that there were positive cases of the CCP virus among the unaccompanied children, but that none of the cases was serious enough for the children to be hospitalized.
Good evening and welcome to NTD News. I'm Stephanie Cox. Dozens of unaccompanied minors test positive for the CCP virus at the southern border, while hundreds who crossed into the U.S. are now sheltered in Southern California. At the San Diego shelter, dozens of the over 700 unaccompanied minors who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border have tested positive for the CCP virus. Here's more from NTD's David Lamb.
The San Diego Convention Center can hold nearly 1,500 minors, and it's currently sheltering migrants. Bonnie Preston from the Health and Human Services told NBC7 that at least 69 minors tested positive, all asymptomatic. Preston says there are now over 700 girls sheltering at the center. Around 250 more expect to arrive every other day until capacity is reached. San Diego's mayor says the center is only taking in girls aged 13 to 17 and provides food and services.
We're a welcoming city. We're going to show the very best of this country.
Critics say the Biden administration is causing the border crisis. They say this is because Biden reversed effective policies set by Trump, and that the U.S.'s shifted stance is mixed messaging. Currently, migrants seeking asylum can stay in the U.S., and Representative Juan Vargas says it's legal.
They then have these rights, and the rights to be able to see if they qualify as an asylee to be able to stay in the United States.
The girls arrived in the U.S. as part of the massive influx at the border.
But can you imagine the trauma that some of these girls have faced on the way here? Can you imagine how difficult it's been for them?
A county supervisor confirmed to News 8 that among the positive cases of the CCP virus, none of the kids required hospitalization. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
According to the former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner, more illegal immigrants have been apprehended this month than during the peak month of the 2019 border crisis. NTD's Grace Coulter has an update on the border.
More illegal immigrants have been apprehended this month than during the peak month of the 2019 border crisis. This is according to former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan, who has received the provisional CBP numbers from internal sources. Morgan said Border Patrol has apprehended more than 150,000 illegal border crosses during the month of March. A further 30,000 evaded capture. Compare that to 2019. May saw the highest number with 144,000 apprehensions. And contrary to what the Biden administration has been saying, according to a senior Border Patrol official, the vast majority of families illegally crossing the border are being released into the U.S. During a press call last week, the official broke down the numbers. Upwards of 85% of family units apprehended by Border Patrol are being released. On March 25th, 6,000 people were apprehended at the border. Of the 2,200 individuals within family units, 1,900 were released. The rest were processed under Title 22 to be expelled. Over the weekend, Texas Representative Henry Cuellar told CBS News that thousands of illegal immigrants are being released into the U.S. without court notices for their immigration proceedings. Here he is.
Some will be returned, but over 2,000 of them have been released into the United States without a notice to appear. I emphasize, without a notice to appear at an immigration court. They're supposed to appear, show up maybe in 60 days, report to an ICE office.
Without a notice to appear, the chances of the migrants ever showing up for a court proceeding become much narrower. And now over to unaccompanied minors. Another temporary shelter for unaccompanied children has just opened in San Antonio, Texas. This one in the Freeman Expo Center. On Monday night, over 500 migrant boys aged 13 to 17 were transferred there. This is the sixth emergency shelter opened to temporarily house the overwhelming number of migrant children. It's expected to house over 2,400 minors. Volunteers from Catholic Charities worked all weekend to set up the facility and prepare clothing and hygiene products for the minors. All of the children were tested for the virus before arrival and will be tested every 3 days. Now zooming in. A 12-year-old unaccompanied migrant child from Guatemala gives an emotional account as he gets off a boat raft and turns himself into Border Patrol. The young boy named Oscar told Spanish language network Univision that the smugglers only fed the children once a day on the journey to the border, and that many children would faint from the heat while they were cramped in the back of a trailer. His story reminds us of the dangers unaccompanied children face as coyotes and traffickers bring them across South America to the border. Other accounts have detailed that if the children become too weak to continue the journey, the coyotes leave them in the desert to die. And new photos give us a better look into the migrants' journey. Abandoned clothes, children's shoes, baby bottles, deflated life rafts, and wristbands. Hundreds of discarded wristbands, like the ones you get at a theme park. The cartels and human traffickers give these to migrants to keep track of them. Each wristband, a migrant's name written on the back.